Good evening. Thank you for attending tonight's virtual Thornton School District 205 Senior Information and Financial Aid Night. Please prepare yourselves for an informative evening. On behalf of the Board of Education, District Administration, building principals, leadership teams, faculty, and staff, welcome seniors, parents, and guardians to tonight's presentation. The purpose of this event is to address post-high school planning, specifically the District 205 3E post-high school plan that all seniors in our district must complete prior to graduation. The 3Es in the plan each represent the options that a student may pursue. And tonight we will focus on the option of being enrolled in either a 2-year college, 4-year college or university, or career, tech, or trade schools. We will also address being enlisted in the military. And most importantly, time will be spent discussing how to fund one's enrollment in a post-secondary institution, financial aid. You're encouraged to listen intently and to get paper and pen to take notes, for the information that you will hear will be useful to you throughout the entire school year and in the upcoming future, provided you continue to pursue post-secondary education. And now our college and career counselors. Mrs. Teresa King serves as the college and career counselor at Thornton Township High School. Ms. Tiffany Ferguson at Thorn Ridge High School, and myself, Mrs. Razita Bishop at Thornwood High School. We are back to an in-person environment. However, Mrs. King and I are still utilizing a virtual Google Classroom this year. What you are viewing are the banners for our Google Classrooms, and we are doing so that we can maximize communication with seniors. If the senior cannot see us in person, they can definitely go to a virtual Google Classroom for our college and career centers, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and find the information that they may need to plan their future.
And now we will introduce the counseling teams from the 3 high schools. Starting with Thornton Township High School. Our team is led by Dr. Todd Hall. He is the assistant principal for counselors. And the counseling team is Mrs. Shauna Scott Moody. She has students who have last names that begin with A through DE. Mrs. Paula Walker has students whose last names begin with DI through Joyner. Mrs. Ramel Hill Jackson has students whose last names begin with Jolly through ORTE and IB students. Mrs. Tahira Pervin has students whose last names begin with ORTI through TA. Mrs. Nzinga Troutman has students whose last names begin with TE through Z, and all the AVID students. And Mrs. Teresa King is the college and career counselor, and that's me. And this is the best team. And now for the Thornridge counselors. The counseling team is led by Mr. William Brown, the assistant principal over counselors. And the counselors are as follows. Ms. Tiffany Ferguson, the College and Career Counselor, Mr. Frank Gomez, he specifically covers the IB students, Ms. Annette Johnson has the AVID students, and Mr. Dwayne Hewlett. And that is the dream team at Thornridge.
The Thornwood High School counselors are Mrs. Laura Alexander Flaherty, who serves seniors with the last names A through C, Mrs. K. Pyrone Hartz, seniors, last names D through HO, Mr. Daniel Galvin, last names HU through MI, Mrs. Jelena Jones, last names MO through P and all AVID students, Mrs. Rashia Ratliff, last names Q through TE, Mr. Daryl Reddick, last names TH through Z, and all IB students. Mrs. Razita Bishop is the College and Career Counselor. Dr. Nikisha Knight is the Assistant Principal for the counseling team. Let's take an in-depth look at the Thornton School District 205 3E Post-High School Plan that every senior in each of our 3 school buildings must complete prior to graduation. It is important that our seniors leave with a diploma and a plan for their future. This plan has 3 parts. Part 1, the senior needs to determine which E or which option he or she will pursue after graduation. There are 5 options. So our seniors may choose to be enrolled in a 2-year college, like our local junior college, South Suburban College, enrolled in a 4-year college or university, or if pursuing a trade, being enrolled in an apprenticeship program or tech or trade school. So there are 3 options in which a senior may choose to be enrolled in some form of a post-secondary institution. And then we have the option to be enlisted in any of our branches of the United States military. The 5th and final option is to be gainfully employed full-time. Once the senior has determined their E, they must present proof that they are pursuing that particular option and upload that proof in their Naviance student planner. Part 2, the state of Illinois has a graduation requirement for all seniors attending public high schools, and that is that they complete the 2022-2023 FAFSA. That stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid, which is available in just a few short hours, October the 1st, at www.fafsa.ed.gov. Again, this is an Illinois graduation requirement for all seniors attending a public high school in our state. Once the FAFSA has been completed at fafsa.ed.gov, the senior will receive a confirmation email, which is proof that the FAFSA is done, and it's that email that is uploaded to the Naviance planner for the senior. At that point, he or she is ready to do the survey. So it is simply a matter of emailing the college and career counselor in the building and asking, or sharing, I should say, that they've completed parts 1 and 2 and that he or she is ready for the 3E plan completion survey. After completing the survey, all three parts of the plan are now finished, and the senior has completed the D205 3E post-high school plan. A gift will be awarded to each senior when the plan is completed, and a senior decision day event will be taking place. It's important to have a plan for one's future. Equally important is to have a plan to fund one's future. Governor Pritzker, in January of 2019, signed Public Act 101-0180 into law. This law states that beginning with the class of 2021 and beyond, all seniors in Illinois public high schools must complete the free application for federal student aid for the upcoming school year. Doing so will allow the senior to see if he or she is eligible for federal and/or state funding to pursue the cost to attend any post-secondary institution. And that would be a 2-year college, a 4-year college, tech, trade, or career school. As long as that school accepts financial aid, the senior needs to have completed that FAFSA for that upcoming school year that he or she would be enrolled. So yes, if there is a barber college that the student is interested in and that barber college accepts financial aid, the FAFSA needs to have been done in advance of that year that he or she will be attending the barber college. Should there be an issue with regard to one's immigration status, then the student would complete an alternative application for state financial aid. Lastly, in rare, very rare instances, it may be necessary for a senior to opt out of this particular requirement.
Since the FAFSA is available for 2022-2023 on October 1st, which is in just a few short hours from now, here are the steps for completing the 2022-2023 free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. Step 1. Create an FSA ID. To do this, you will go to www.fsaid.ed.gov. An FSA ID will need to be completed for the student and the parent at this site. Step 2. Complete the 2022-2023 FAFSA. To do this, you need to go to www.fafsa.ed.gov. You will be able to complete the FAFSA at this address. Once your FAFSA is complete, step 3. Upload your FAFSA confirmation email to your Naviance planner. And that is how you will be able to complete this graduation requirement. You will receive an email immediately upon submitting your FAFSA, and that is the email that you will upload to your Naviance planner. And those are the steps for completing this graduation requirement.
You may ask, where do I find scholarships? First, scholarships can be located in Naviance by logging in and selecting colleges, then choosing the scholarship tab. This is where local and national scholarships can be found. There's also a list of scholarships on each of the school's websites. And of course, don't forget to inquire about individual college and university scholarships. And finally, the college and career counselors will post scholarship information in their Google Classrooms for students to see. So, what exactly is Naviance and how can seniors use it? Well, Naviance is an online software program that can be used to apply to colleges individually or several at one time. Students can request transcripts to be sent to colleges and scholarship organizations through Naviance. They can sign up to meet virtually with college representatives. They can research 2-year and 4-year colleges and universities, explore careers, research trade and technical schools, search for scholarships, and they can even create a resume in Naviance.
It does truly take a village to raise a child. That saying is probably more so true today than ever before. And therefore, District 205 is so pleased to have outstanding partnerships with Illinois Student Assistance Commission, ISAC, and Talent Search, which is a TRIO program through the Family Centered Educational Agency located here in South Holland, Illinois. The people you see before you work with seniors in a variety of different ways. It could be post-high school planning, meaning helping them determine their E and every aspect of pursuing that post-secondary option. It also with regard to completing the FAFSA. Yes, help is needed. We know that help is needed. And therefore, Mr. Gregory Curry, who is our ISAC Core representative coming from the Illinois Student Assistance Commission, will be available to meet with families in person in our buildings as well as virtually to help complete the 2022-2023 FAFSA. We also will have Ms. Janika Jones, who will be working with Thornton primarily, Ms. Taylor Reese, who will work with both Thornwood and Thornton, and Mr. Patrick Sheard, who will serve Thorn Ridge students. The Director of Talent Search is Ms. Gabrielle Dillon. So it is with these two partnerships that the college and career counselors are able to assist the seniors in planning their future. Without them, we would not be successful in doing so.
We also have important phone numbers that we'd like to share with you. One is a talking line or the FAFSA hotline. You can call there if you have specific questions for your FAFSA. That number is 1-800-433-3243. The other number is for texting. This number is available with different area codes. You can pick your specific area code number, or you can text the number for any area code. The number for our area code, or 708, is 708-252-3890. Again, you can text any of these area codes, and you will start a text conversation with live help. And now for the rest of our program. We have important guest presenters that we would like to call your attention to. First is Christina Gutierrez. She is our South Suburban representative, and she will be speaking to you about the financial opportunities as well as educational opportunities available at South Suburban College, our local community college. South Suburban has a wealth of information for you and for your students. And so we'd like to welcome Christina Gutierrez to present to us. After Christina presents, we will hear from Sergeant Christian Chazaro. He is from the U.S. Army Reserves, and he will talk to you about the opportunities that are available through the military in funding your education, as well as training that's available in the military for our students. And he is going to speak to you about those opportunities. And then finally, Dr. Jonathan McKenzie of the Family Centered Educational Agency will be speaking with us this evening. His agency is responsible for many successful students from District 205. We are fortunate to have him here this evening, and Dr. McKenzie has led us many years for Financial Aid Night. He has a wealth of information that I know you will find helpful and useful as you move forward in this process. We thank him for being available to us tonight, and we also thank the partners at the Family Centered Educational Agencies, Talent Search, and Upward Bound for helping our students and helping our families navigate this financial aid process and go on to be successful students and successful human beings. We thank Dr. McKenzie and we welcome him to present to us tonight. Again, the order of presentation will be South Suburban, followed by the U.S. Army Reserve, and then Dr. Jonathan McKenzie. Now we will have Christina Gutierrez, who is going to talk to us about opportunities at South Suburban College.
So once again, thank you for inviting me, and thank you everyone for coming. These resources are very important for the community especially to know, and a lot of students don't know about these resources. So my name is Cristina Gutierrez, and I am here representing South Suburban College. At the college, I am manager of outreach and onboarding. So I cover quite a bit of area, but mainly I help students get into the college and as well continue with them for the first 1 or 2 semesters so I can make sure that they are on track to complete their degree. Today I'll be talking about the financial and academic resources available at South Suburban and why it's a good choice to do community college first and then go into a 4-year institution. So first and foremost, I wanted to talk a bit about the funds that we received, especially through COVID relief funds. So one of them is the Technology Relief Fund. The Technology Relief Fund is for students that show financial need or financial hardships. The requirements are pretty basic. Make sure that students maintain a GPA of 2.0. And if they get anything lower than they see, they must participate on tutoring. Tutoring is offered free at the college. And they must have 6 credit hours per semester. And by Technology Relief Fund, it indicates that if you need anything from headphones to a new laptop, it can be provided to you by the university, and that would be for yours to keep, a brand new laptop. So that's just one example of the other resources that we are giving out to students. A lot of colleges receive funds because of the pandemic, and they decided on how to use them. What we did is we decided to maintain our funds within our students. So pay off student debt, provide students with resources directly, which is a little different than some other institutions. I also wanted to talk a bit about the scholarships that we're offering. There is the Board of Trustees Scholarship, which is available to all high school students that have a minimum GPA of 3.5. This scholarship is very popular because it's a all-consuming scholarship, meaning that students will get their complete 2-year tuition covered for the time that they're in South Suburban College. Another scholarship that we're offering is the City of Harvey First Ward Community Service Scholarship Program. So this is just indicative of people who live in the first ward within Harvey. And just like this scholarship, there's many others. I just grabbed these because these are more concrete to students that graduated from District 205. we have a whole booklet filled with different scholarships. Some of them have students requiring a GPA of 2.0, some of them 2.5, some of them have different eligibilities, but really you just have to look for these scholarships. Our scholarships are published the first week of January every year, so keep an eye out. The next thing I wanted to cover was the free class. We actually offer a free class for all first-year students, meaning that first-year students can receive a class that is covered by tuition. What is a first-year student? So a first-year student or a first-time student is anyone who has not attended classes or college classes with us. So if you've taken college classes in another place but have not taken them with us, you can still get the free class. All you need to do is fill out the form, which is available online, and just drop it off at financial aid, and financial aid will cover the cost of tuition on your bill. If you are a high school student and you want to take a college course at South Suburban, you can take advantage of this free class. And once you transfer over to a four-year institution, you can transfer over your free class. To be a high school student and take this free class, all you would need is 13 credits, meaning approximately 3 semesters of high school, and then you would get it signed by your counselor and come to us, and we could get you all set up for your free class so you can transfer it over to a four-year institution later on, and all for free. Financial aid. So this whole meeting is about financial aid. You'll get a lot more information after me, but I wanted to cover the basics. So if you're a U.S. citizen or a resident, then you apply to the FAFSA, which we'll cover later. SES participates in MAP and Pell Grants. Grants is a key word. Grants means you do not have to pay them back. That is money that is given to you and you do not have to pay it back. What SSC does not participate in is the loan program, meaning that we do not make our students get loans because our goal is for students to leave the institution debt free. If you are not a U.S. resident or a U.S. citizen and you're DACA or undocumented, you would fill out the RISE Act or the alternative application, which is similar to the FAFSA, but only available here in Illinois. You would also apply to get the MAP and Pell Grant, and same as the FAFSA, it does not apply for loan programs. Now, cost of attending South Suburban versus going to a four-year institution directly. Right now, if you're in district, meaning if you're in District 205, you would be in district, we're charging $152 per credit hour. Classes on average are 3 credit hours or 4 credit hours. The average credit hour in college in the US is $594. So you can see the difference is insane. It's almost $400. That's why a lot of people decide to go to community college, then transfer over to a four-year institution because you can save a lot of money. On average, a full semester at South Suburban is $4,000. Does that mean you have to pay $4,000? No, there's aid available. If you receive financial aid and it's an EFC, which they'll probably explain later, of 0 or a low EFC, it's likely that you'll not only get your tuition covered, but at the end of the semester, any money that FAFSA gave you that was not spent on tuition, you will get a refund check. And that refund check will be yours to keep and spend as you like. If you're interested in registering at our school, registration for spring opens October 11th. If you want to register for that free class, feel free to contact me in my information that I'll hand out later around that time in October. You can apply to go to South Suburban online at ssc.edu. It's really fast and super easy. Now, why go to SSCU if I want to go to four-year institution? As I said before, it's a lot less costly. Here's an example of four-year institutions that we partner with so we can make your transfer easy and without a hustle. Loyola, UOI, UIC, SIU, Illinois State, Northeastern. These are all schools that our graduates are going to after they're done with us, and they can save a lot of money from starting here and then transferring there. Okay, so I left my information here, my direct phone line as well as my email. Feel free, anyone can call me at this phone. If I don't answer, please leave a voice message. I do listen to the voice messages and return your call promptly. Feel free to email me. I am available Monday through Friday. And if you just have any questions about college in general, feel free to also contact me. Okay?
Thank you, Christina, representing South Suburban College.
And I just want to mention that Christina is a former Wildcat. As a matter of fact, she was the #1 Wildcat her year. So just wanted to say that and thank you. We're so proud of Christina.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good evening. My name is Staff Sergeant Christian Cesaro. I am the recruiter in the district for the Illinois Army National Guard. I wanted to cover a few things. I know there's some misconceptions, I guess, if you will, of the military. Some individuals think we're strictly war, but we do far more than what is portrayed in the news. Okay, we have many resources. I do not want everyone here to think that we are only someone's final resource, but at times we can be someone's best resource and resort. Okay, so I would like to cover, since it is financial aid night, cover how as a member of the National Guard, which is full-time benefits for part-time service, you can go to school tuition free and obtain up to a master's degree courtesy of the National Guard, again for 1 week in a month and 2 weeks in the summer. All right, with the Illinois National Guard grant, you can attend any Illinois state-funded university or community college of your choice, tuition free, for the equivalent of 4 academic years of full-time enrollment. The grant will pay for eligible tuition and fees for undergraduate and graduate, like I mentioned, study at Illinois 2-year or 4-year public universities or colleges. So that would essentially be South Suburban, Prairie State, Moraine Valley. Those are the local community colleges in the area. Again, if you guys relocate, we cover every 2-year college in the state of Illinois that's public. When you guys are ready to transfer to a 4-year public university, or if you guys elect to go directly into a 4-year university, we cover the larger universities in the state of Illinois: Northern, Eastern, Southern, that's Carbondale, Edwardsville, Western, Northeastern, Chicago State, Governor State, U of I, UIC rather, U of I in Springfield, and U of I Urbana. Okay, for individuals who are looking to go into a trade or vocational school, there's also federal tuition assistance, which is $4,000 a year for programs that you guys are looking to go into. If you guys elect to use federal tuition assistance, that covers up to 16 semester hours, and like I mentioned, that's trade and vocational school that is covered. All right, we do value education here in the National Guard, so individuals who elect to go to school receive an incentive. All right, not only do we pay for school, but you guys you guys qualify for a stipend. All right, and that's the Montgomery GI Bill. That is up to 4,000 cash to help with expenses while attending college, whether it's full time or part time. So for seniors who are looking to go straight into college full time, that is 12 or more college credit hours. Your monthly benefit will be $397 a month just to go to school. Okay, it is a sliding scale. If you guys choose to go 9 to 11 credit hours, the benefit is lower to $297. If you guys go 6 to 9 credit hours, the monthly benefit lowers again to $198. And 1 to 5 college credits, that is only $99.25. So it is in your best interest, since we pay for school full time, to go full time. Therefore, you finish sooner, and that monetary benefit maxes out at $397 a month while you're in school. Okay, for individuals who perform very well on the ASVAB, which is the aptitude battery test to get in, you guys can qualify for what's called the Montgomery GI Bill kicker, which is an additional $200 a month on top of the monthly stipend that you guys receive based off your credit hours in college. Okay. So essentially, we pay for school. and we pay you to go to school. And if a traditional 2-year, 4-year university is not something that is immediately on your radar that you want to go into, we also cover trade and vocational schools. All right. To piggyback off that, in the National Guard, we have over 150 jobs in various career fields, not just combat fields, but fields such as aviation, maintenance, logistics, human resources, intelligence, and medical field. Okay. For your college training, for your military training, that is 10 weeks of boot camp and another 10 to 13 weeks of your job training. You will earn between $8,000 to $10,000 for your training, as well as college credits. So when you come back, even though physically you are not in a classroom setting, you will receive college credit for your military training. And for individuals who already know what they want to go into, such as the medical field or maintenance, you guys come back with certificates. Individuals who go for IT come back with Cisco certificates. Individuals that go into the medical field become healthcare specialists, 68 Whiskeys, they come back with an EMT license, a national license that allows you to work directly in the ambulance coming back from training. Okay, so there's various ways that the National Guard can help you guys with that post-secondary program, all right, or plan rather. So you guys can enlist, serve part-time, um, enjoy full-time benefits as far as the free school, free college, trade vocational school, earn a part-time check, and earn the same benefits as every other branch of the military while only serving part-time, staying at home, and focusing on yourself and your family and helping your community, of course. All right, if you guys have any questions, my phone number is next to my name. Again, my name is Staff Sergeant Christian Chazaro. You can reach me at 708-476-7650. And my extremely long email, I do apologize, is attached as well. Feel free to give me a call, text, or email, and I'm here to answer everyone's questions. Thank you for your time.
I see. So if we have someone with a question, feel free to raise your hand. I'm looking for those hands. I see I have one. Okay. You're unmuted, Zainab. Feel free to ask your question.
All right, I just wanted to ask if there were any cons, because he's speaking about the pros, but are there any cons?
Sergeant Chazaro?
Yes. Cons in regard to what, ma'am?
Joining the military, what are the bad aspects?
Yeah, so I mean, there is a contractual obligation. We have a 3-year and 6-year contract. So essentially, it's not like a job per se where you could just quit and not go. There is a persistence that you must have, right? So if you are considering the National Guard, it's 1 week in a month and 2 weeks in the summer. That's your service obligation. If you are activated, we're in the news now, right? We've been activated to help with the pandemic, with what's going on with the civil unrest in DC. So that is just part of being a soldier in the National Guard, kind of maintaining the home front here at home.
All right, and this is for both genders, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
I believe Alamin Arias has a question as well, I see, regarding DACA and if they are able to apply for financial aid. So if someone has DACA, are they able to apply for financial aid is the gist of his question.
Hi, yes, I can address the question. So as I said earlier, if you have DACA, you cannot apply to financial aid through FAFSA, but you can apply through financial aid through the RISE Act, which is the alternative application. It's the same, it's basically the same application, but it is through the RISE Act. You just go on ISAC, ISAAC.org, and you can fill out the application through there. What that does is that it applies for MAP and Pell Grants, but it does not apply to federal money. So you would still get aid that FAFSA would provide to you, excluding the federal portion of it, and it would just include all state aid that is given to students.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez. At this time, I believe we'll move on to Dr. Jonathan McKenzie.
Hello. Well, good evening, everyone. This is awesome. Thank you for joining us. There's a lot of information that's been given out already, and so I don't really know where to start because so much has been said already. But let me share my screen. Excuse me, and I'll begin with this particular presentation and try to share with you as much as I possibly can. Again, tonight we are talking about the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid. This application is a springboard to all types of financial aid. I'm going to ask that you hold some of your questions until the end, and we'll try to answer them as we at that particular time. But yes, the free application for federal student aid is the application that we complete. And when you complete this application, you are simultaneously applying for different types of aid. You're also applying for the Illinois Monetary Award Program. That's what that MAP stands for. That comes from the state of Illinois. It's a state form of aid. The max on it right now is about $5,496. After that, you're simultaneously applying for the Pell Grant, which is a federal form of aid. The last question that was asked concerning DACA students are not eligible for federal aid, but you can be, as the presenter indicated, you can be considered for state aid. But the Pell Grant is a federal form of aid that you won't be eligible to receive. The other thing is that there are certain institutions. A lot of people oftentimes will say it's not what you know, but then you probably would say who you know, but it's not who you know, it's what you know about who. And there are some institutions that are more DACA friendly, right? They're more DACA friendly. I know, for example, Northern Illinois University has an excellent program and department that is solely dedicated to assisting DACA students, undocumented students, to come in and receive additional types of financial aid. And they've actually set aside certain forms of financial aid. I forgot to tell you just a little bit about myself. Again, my name is Dr. Jonathan McKenzie, Chief Executive Officer for the Family Centered Educational Agency. I've been helping students in District 205 since 1990 to enroll into colleges and universities of their choice, and working in partnership with District 205 counselors and administrators to make that happen. And so we have several programs through the agency. You've already heard about Talent Search. That's one of our programs where we serve 1,000 students, at least 1,000 students a year. We also have Upward Bound programs where we serve students who are freshmen to their senior year. And we also have an Educational Opportunity Center now, excuse me, where we serve adults in the city of Chicago. So that's just a little bit about me. And I started off working in financial aid, in the financial aid office, before I started taking college courses. And so that's how I got into this business. And I've been helping students since that time. That was actually 1983 when I started working in financial aid. But financial aid is a tricky thing. It's something that you have to stay up on and get help with. So let me go back to what I was saying, that there are different types of financial aid that you'll be applying for and considered for when you fill out this application. You'll also be considered for the FSEOG. That's the Federal Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant. I'm going to say that again because this is a really, really important form of financial aid. It is possible to be eligible for this form of financial aid and not receive it because it's not what you know, but what you know about who. What we know about the financial aid directors at most of our institutions, at all of our institutions, is that they have a certain level of discretion called professional judgment. And they can use that professional judgment to make decisions about your financial aid status based on extra information that you may share with them. Okay, so excuse me, as you share this information and you complete this FAFSA application, there's certain forms of aid that you need to ask for. Write that down. There's certain forms of financial aid that you need to apply for, and then there are other forms of financial aid that you need to apply and ask for it. The financial aid officer can use their discretion to award you this federal supplemental educational opportunity grant of $4,000, or they can use their discretion to award you student loans, or a combination of both. So I oftentimes like to tell students, make sure that they know your name and not just your student ID number, right? And make sure you have a rapport and a relationship, because it pays big dividends when they know you, and they know what your goals are, and they know what type of student you are. They'll be more supportive of you. And the more information you share about your family's financial situation, I know that there are a lot of students that are very hesitant, that are very mistrusting of systems, mistrusting of institutions of higher education. But this is not the time or the place where you begin to withhold information. This is the place where you share everything. And I'll explain more about that later on. There's also the Federal College Work Study Grant, FCWS, the Federal College Work Study grant. This is a grant where you actually are given an award, but you have to earn it. You have to go to work somewhere within the institution, or some institutions have community programs that allow you to work outside of the institution. Now, you said, why do that? I can just get a job at McDonald's. Well, working at McDonald's will have a more negative effect on your eligibility for aid next year than working within the institution under the Federal College Work Study program. Since you're working, you'll get a W-2, you'll file taxes, and you'll get a return back if they owe you money under the Federal College Work Study job that you held on campus or off campus. But if you work in an outside of FCWS job like McDonald's or Best Buy or something like that, 75% of what you earn is supposed to be saved, and after taxes is supposed to be saved and then shared with go towards your expected family contribution. So go towards paying your college education. And that's the federal methodology that is used and applied to students. And so, but college work study earned money does not work like that, because it's a grant, it's a gift. It's what Miss Christina talked about earlier when she talked about grants. Grants are free money, right, that you don't have to pay back. So although you're working, although you're getting a W-2, filing taxes, next year when you apply, the FAFSA is going to ask you, did you receive any kind of, was any part of your income that you earned from work considered a grant? And the portion that you earn from college work study, you'll say yes, and it will not apply against you. Okay, it's going to help you to get be more eligible for aid. Okay, it won't hurt you. There's student loans that you're simultaneously applying for when you complete this FAFSA application. You'll receive a financial aid award letter later on. They'll offer you the loan. You can accept it or you can reject it. You may be saying, I just want to apply for the free money. I don't want to apply for loans. They're still going to consider you for them, right? Because the cost of attending a higher education institution is rising tremendously. And I'm so glad the South Suburban representative shared some of their programs. I hope you guys were really listening, because you can drastically reduce your cost of education, of higher education, by considering some of the options that she shared. Okay. Excuse me for coughing. All right. And so some loans are subsidized and some loans are unsubsidized. There are situations where students are dependent upon their parents. They share all the family information, and you still need a loan to pay for college. You can apply you're applying when you fill out the FAFSA for the subsidized Stafford loan. What does subsidized means? It means that the interest and the tax and everything, the loan is subsidized by the federal government. The interest is deferred. It's not accrued. It's not growing, right? While you're in school. Okay, it's not growing. It's staying right where it is at the point in which you borrowed, and you don't have to start paying the loan back until 6 months after you graduate or 6 months after you leave school. But the unsubsidized loan, the interest is accruing, right? This is a loan that's normally set aside for students who have special situations or circumstances where, for example, maybe they can't collect certain information from their parents to help them with this financial aid process. It's a much higher interest. It's a higher interest rate loan, and as I said, the interest accrues. So if you borrow, I'm just speaking hypothetically, $2,500, you may owe actually $3,000. You may be actually borrowing $3,200, dollars with this unsubsidized loan by the time the interest is added on. Okay, so be careful there. If you receive the subsidized loan or the unsubsidized loan and you still need extra money, they're going to ask your parent to borrow a parent loan. If you are an incoming freshman and you're being asked by an institution to take out a parent loan, you're probably at the wrong institution, and that you matched up maybe with the wrong institution, especially if you come from a low income family where your income is not very high and you're eligible for the maximum of these free forms of aid, but you still need a parent loan. You may want to go back because that loan is in the parent's name. The parent will have to start paying it back 60 days after the application is approved. So be careful there. Match yourself up with the right school. I'll say more about that later. There are other forms of aid that you're actually considered for. You may say, well, my family makes over $200,000. I'm not going to qualify for a Pell Grant or a MAP award or anything like that. That may be true, but you may qualify for what we call merit-based aid. That's aid based on your academic performance while you're in high school, and or institutional aid. That is financial aid that is given out by the institution that you decide to attend. So where you decide to go can have an impact on the amount of money that you receive. And so a lot of students don't choose very well. I'll say more about that in a minute, right? So, but they both require that you start with this FAFSA process, that you complete the FAFSA application. Even if you think you're not going to be eligible, you still should complete the application in order to be considered for some of these other merit-based awards or institutional awards, okay? There are 3 tips to success that I want to give you tonight. One, I want to tell you, and please write this down, get professional help. This is not the time to have your mom's beautician who went to beauty school and who fills out FAFSA applications on the side to have that person help you with this process. Even though I've been completing financial aid applications since 1983, every year I still go to the Department of Education for training. I still go to trainings that are put on by the Illinois Student Assistance Commission. And I make sure that all of my staff members who have years of experience go to those trainings as well, because we need to be able to give you need the best help that you can possibly get. There's so many things. You may complete your application. You may receive some form of financial aid, but you may not receive the maximum amount of financial aid that you could have received had you received professional help. You don't have to pay for this professional help. This is the free application for federal student aid. No one should be charging you to complete it. It's a free process, and there's staff members who can help you to complete it for free and won't charge you anything. The second tip for success that I want to give you tonight is become a student of the process. Learn as much as you can about this process. Again, choose learn all about the terminology. I'll give you a few terms that you definitely need to know and understand. but visit the websites, visit scholarship websites, visit scholarship help websites, learn all about those things. U.S. News, best colleges, read Forbes magazine and strategies for middle income families. There are a lot of middle income families who are probably on the line tonight. And you may or may not, depending on your eligibility, you may not be eligible for a Pell Grant. So you're going to need an alternate form of financial aid, and you're going to need alternate strategies, right? Let me give you an example of how a professional can help you. I had a student who called me, and she said, Dr. McKenzie, she was in tears, and she said, Dr. McKenzie, they're telling me that I need $5,000 by Friday. It's Wednesday. Or they're going to send me home. And she had packed up everything. She had kissed her parents goodbye, and she was at the university of her choice. I said, well, what happened? I said, you're in your second year. Last year, when you applied for financial aid, you were eligible for a maximum amount of financial aid. What changed? And she said, well, I don't know what changed. She said, but my dad, was in a car accident. He got a big check, for $150,000. And I think that had something to do with it. I said, okay, why did he get the $150,000? She said he was in a bad car accident. I said, okay. I said, so is he working now? She said, no, he's disabled. He's receiving disability benefits. I said, okay. So, we started just asking her more and more questions. So what I did is I told her, let's write a letter. Give me whatever documentation you have to show that your father is disabled. He had broken his neck, broken his back, all of these things. The $150,000 that was given to him was given to help him for the rest of his life, which was very minimal considering his injuries. So we sent all that information to the college. And within a day, she was eligible for a maximum amount of free financial aid. So that's what a professional can do for you by asking you the right questions. You need a nosy person who's going to ask you some nosy questions that for the purpose of not getting in your business, but for the purpose of helping you to get the maximum amount of money that you possibly can. So get professional help. Become a student of the process, learn all about it. And then 3, make wise choices. Decide where you want to enroll. There's some colleges that cost a lot to attend, but these colleges will also award you more than the average college, right? And so you need professional. I can't go into it tonight. We don't have enough time about it. What you decide to major in can determine in some cases how much financial aid you receive. There are certain scholarships that are set aside for teachers. There are certain scholarships that are set aside for systems analysts majors. There are certain scholarships that are set aside for engineering majors. And so you need to know where this money is at, which schools are offering these things. So it's sometimes it's what you major in. It's where you enroll that makes a big difference in the number of classes that you take. So all of those things keep in mind. If you need help, my agency is set up to help students with all of this. We're the family-centered educational agency. Ms. Bishop, let me know if you're not seeing my changing in screens, but this is our website, which you can go to. It's familycentered.org, and you see this button up here says Online Academic Coach. If you click that button, you can go to a section of our website that allows you to search information. We've put together all kinds of information on scholarships. You click that button, you'll receive more information there that talks about scholarships and all of those things. And you can, complete a survey, but complete information just to apply for scholarships and click on those buttons, clickable links, and all of those things. So that's the Family Centered Educational Agency, and we help with this entire process. We're also on Facebook. We put out a lot of TikTok videos about scholarships. We publish on our Facebook site, the Family Centered Educational Agency, all kinds of information on scholarships and free forms of aid that you should consider and possibly apply for. Okay, so I wanted to make sure I gave you that information tonight. This is just a video, but I'm not gonna. Well, maybe I will play it here. Here at the Family Centered Educational Agency,
We believe that the most important moments in a student's education occur during childhood. Our trio programs are committed to being there for those important moments. We coach students to make sure they are prepared for success at the secondary and post-secondary level. Our vision is simple. We want to raise up a nation of educated families. Our programs help to lower crime rates by offering positive, educational, and life-changing activities. Because we don't just see students in their current position, we see them in their future roles as leaders in their industry. Sign up today to receive assistance. Opportunity starts here.
So you can sign up for these different programs, through our website if you want to, or through by visiting our Facebook page to get more information. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that with you. Can you still see the presentation, Miss King, and everything? I just want to make sure
Not
I'm
at
good.
this time. We're viewing you, Dr. McKenzie.
Okay, you can't see it at this time. Let me go back and escape. And
you do still have the ability to share, though.
Okay, all right, there we go. Okay, I came out of there, I had to share again. Okay, here we go. Got it?
Yes. You just simply need to maximize.
Cool.
Excellent.
So what's new with this application? There's something that was passed. I believe it's called the Simplification Act. Don't quote me on this, but I believe that's what it's called. And it's an act that was passed by Congress that it used to be where if you had a drug conviction, if you received financial aid and you were convicted of a crime, a felony, while you were receiving financial aid, you were not eligible for financial aid. Well, that's changed now through this Simplification Act. Also, the Selective Service, those of you who had to register for the draft, your financial aid would not be released until you had registered with the Selective Service. That is no longer an issue. The question still remains on the application. However, if you answer it negatively or positively or whatever, it will not affect your receipt of financial aid. Okay, so you'll be asked the question, should I register for the Selective Service? You may say, no, I don't want to register for the Selective Service. In the past, that would hurt you. Now it does not. Okay, there's an app where you can complete this application. It parallels now the website. It used to be different than what they would see, what you would see on the website, but now it parallels what's actually out there on the website. The application populates data. Say if you got other brothers and sisters, someone said earlier, I heard something about someone had triplets, right? And so when you fill out the application for one of the siblings, there's a confirmation page at the very end of the application that you will see. You will be able to populate, fill out additional information for another sibling without typing everything else in again. Just say populate this for another student. It will take all of the information from the parents that you shared about the parents again, populate all of those fields, all of the tax information and everything, and you won't have to go through this 3 times for triplets, 3 different students. There's also a one-time login. Once you log into the application, the FAFSA application to complete it, you used to have to share your, what we call an FSA AID. I think the representative from South Suburban talked about this a little bit. You would normally have to sign the application. This is your electronic signature, right? And so it's information that you shouldn't share with anybody else. I'll say more in a minute. But at the end of the application, you normally had to sign it. If you log into your application on the FAFSA website using your FSA ID, you will not have to sign it at the end or log in again and put your FSA ID in again. That's what you used to have to do. Okay, so that's changed. And here it is. There's certain terms that you need to know, right? Like FSA ID, federal student aid, identification. Each student must have a federal ID in order to submit a FAFSA. This is basically, again, it's your electronic signature that allows you to sign your application. Every student at most institutions, because of the law, has to have a, depending on the institution, has to have a loan exit interview You'll need to sign up for your loan exit interview by using your FSA ID, all of those kinds of things. Don't share this ID with your friends because this is your signature, it's your electronic signature. If you share it with someone else, you may be giving them permission to possibly use your identity and your signature to complete a fraudulent application. Okay, so be careful, protect this ID, put it in a safe place where you can recall it. A lot of students forget it. Your parents need it and you need it, right? If the parent of the triplets, the parent only needs one FSA ID for themselves, and every student needs their own individual ID. Okay. There's something called an SAR. It's called the Student Aid Report. When you complete the FAFSA, you will be simultaneously received at the very end, probably within a week or two after completing the free application for federal student aid. You'll receive a student aid report. And on this student aid report, it'll have all of the information that you put on the FAFSA application, but it will include what we call an EFC, which is an expected family contribution number. The lower that number, the greater your eligibility is for aid. Okay, so the lower that number, the greater your eligibility is for aid, and it's going to be on the student aid report. The schools that you apply to, the institutions that you apply to, they're going to receive something called an ISIR, ISIR, and it's basically an information student income report. It's got everything on it that the SAR has, the SAR has, but it just goes to the school, right? And you can apply to multiple schools when you complete the FAFSA. You can apply to at least 10 institutions. Put down that you may be attending 10 institutions, but we know you're only going to be able to attend one, right? So that every institution will send you a possible award letter. It may be not a final award letter, but because the school that you listed first is the only school that really has permission to pay you financial aid. So be careful there. List at least one state school. Write this down. If you are applying for financial aid on the FAFSA and you're trying to select a school to attend, list at least one school from the state of Illinois or the state in which you live. The reason why I say that is because if you don't, say, for example, you say, I know that I'm going to Spelman, or I know I'm going to Harvard, I know that I'm going to, Stanford, and so I'm not going to bother listing any of these other schools in Illinois. And something happens where one of these schools does not give you enough money to pay for your college education, and your parents are in a position to where they cannot pay the difference. You may then change your mind and say, okay, I'm going to go to a state school like the U of I. But if you don't list one of those schools in the state, then the state won't calculate a state award for you. And you may be eligible, but the money will go fast for the state, okay? Remember that MAP award, that money goes very fast. So I recommend to every student, regardless of where you think you're going or where you really know that you're going, list at least one school from the state of Illinois on your application. Then there's the expected family contribution. This represents the amount of money that your family will be expected to contribute towards your education. The EFC number is not the amount of money, right, that your family is going to have to contribute. It's really a code that tells the financial aid officer that they use to calculate how much money you should possibly receive or not receive. Anything above a 4,200 is a quick indication that you may not be eligible for the federal Pell Grant award. The lower that number, the better. If it's all zeros, that means that you're eligible for a maximum amount of free aid. So all zeros are good. Anything above 4,200, it's not so good. Okay? So that's the free application for federal student aid. I've talked about the FSA ID, so I'll skip that particular slide. But when you go to fafsa.ed.gov, that's where you can find information out about where the FAFSA is, you'll see a screen that will appear like this, and you can say start here, a new FAFSA, or if you've already started your FAFSA and you've saved it, and I recommend that after each section that you complete, you actually save the form. You can go back in later on and log in here, and I'm sorry, I'm killing gnats at the same time. You can log in here and pick up where you left off at. Write this address down here, this collegescorecard.ed. I don't know if you all have heard of that site, but it's an awesome site to go to because it gives you information on colleges and universities all across the United States. You can put in a name of an institution. It's going to give you the persistence rate, the graduation rate, the amount of students who have to borrow money. There are some schools where 80% of the students who attend the university have to borrow loans. That's a good indication that that school is probably not very supportive financially of students. You want to see that. You want to do your research there, right? You want to find that out. You want to look at the graduation rate. If the graduation rate of students, some of these colleges is 8%. If only 8% of the students that are enrolling in that college, that means 92% of the students who enroll into this particular institution will not graduate. So that's an indication that they don't have supportive programs that they need in order to support you, right? And if the graduation rate is 95%, that means that that institution is doing something really special to keep students there and make sure that once they are admitted, that they matriculate through the institution and graduate. So you can find out all of that on the College Scorecard. Representatives that work for the agency can help you with that and looking at those institutions. Okay, I'm going to stop my screen share for a minute and just ask if there are any questions. I want to show you one more thing before we move on. Are there any questions that I can answer? I know I've shared a lot in a very short period of time, so I want to make sure that we're okay.
I am monitoring both the chat and the Q&A, and I do not see any questions presently.
Okay.
If there is anyone who has a question, please utilize the chat or the Q&A, and we will be more than happy to answer it.
Great. I'll come back later for some other questions. I only have a few more things I want to show you. So if we look at, there are a number of, I just want to show you some of the things on the application and how it looks when you go into it, right? And so you go here, you say start new application, and it begins to collect demographic information, and it tell us about yourself. Yeah, you're the student or you're the parent. It's going to start collecting information on you. It's great. It's a great platform because it helps you if you left off some information. It'll tell you that you left it off. And so it saves you a lot of time and effort. Back in the day when I went to college, it was all paper, and there were 4 different applications. All of that's been streamlined. It's one application now. It's online in one portal, and you click here. It says I'm the student. It says log in to continue. And if you have an FSA ID already, you can go ahead and click log in and put that number in. If you don't, you can create one. And basically, it starts asking you all this personal information about yourself. It'll ask you to create a login password and all of that. And it constantly lets you know that this is the student that we're asking this information for. Later on, it's going to ask you about the parent, parent demographics. But right now, it's just all on the student, your address, your residency, all of those things, education. Selective service, that selective service question I told you about, it'll ask you that. You can say, are you registered? You can say yes or no. It's not a big deal anymore because of the Simplicity Act. All right, driver's license number if you have it. If you're in foster care, students who are in foster care, you're probably going to be considered as a independent student. It's ask you, are you a foster youth, or were you in foster care system at any time? Yes. And so if you say yes to that, the system automatically knows to just look at your information, and sometimes that can be helpful. there are a lot of myths about being dependent and independent. There's some parents who say, okay, when you turn 18, you're going to be independent. That's not how it works, okay? Just because you say that they're independent does not mean that they're independent. Even if you kick them out of your home and send them off to live with somebody else, friends or whatever, the federal government and the financial aid institution or agency at the institution that your child attends is still going to ask for parental information. So those of you who are thinking about running away once you graduate and never speaking to your parents again, hold up, don't do that, right? Because you're going to need their information. And so I would give you an opportunity to apologize and rectify your relationship right now, but treat them nice, because you're going to need your parents' information. There are plenty of students that I have to share Kleenex with and wipe their eyes and watch them blow their noses because they're crying and in tears because they can't get information that they need from their parents. So keep that in mind. It's a really important process. Okay. So again, it's going to ask you about your high school. You can enter it manually, or you can select one of the schools where you attend and ask you about confirming that. You have to search for the college that you would like to attend. And this is the place where I told you, you can select up to 10 different colleges and universities to attend. And so that's just, some of these screens. I just want to show you one more thing, and then I'm out of there. Again, it'll ask you questions about, does a student have dependents? If you have children that you provide more than half of their support comes from you between July 1, 22 and June 30th, 2023, and you say yes, you could possibly be considered as an independent student. But if you have a child and you and your child live with your mother and father, or you live in your parents' home, and you don't provide more than half support, you can't document that you do, you and your child are going to be considered as dependent upon your parents. So just having a child does not make you independent. You have to prove that you have the financial wherewithal to take care of that child yourself. That's why I say get help with this application. There is a way that you can do that. I don't have time to share that with you tonight. One of the representatives and other professionals can help you to do that later on, right? They ask you other additional information. They ask you about homelessness, et cetera, and then whose information are you providing? You say your parents, parent marital status. Now they're starting to ask you questions about the parents and the same demographic information, state that you reside in, your household size, all of these things, you, your parents, other dependents of your parents. If there are other people that your parents are providing support for that may not be children, they can be included in the household size. More than 50% of support for it. The higher the household size, the greater their eligibility for financial aid. Okay, so let's not make up people, because you'll be selected for a process called verification, and you'll have to explain who those people are in the household. Okay, all right. And it said there down here, says, do not include your parents, but do include yourself and other members of the household. So that could be the uncle upstairs and the grandmother downstairs and other people that receive support from the family. I wanted to show you this page because it comes a time when they're going to ask about financial information. And you're applying for financial aid for next fall, September 2022, right? In order to apply for financial aid for fall of 2022, you use prior financial information. What I mean by that, 2001, 2020, you're going to use 2020 information to apply for financial aid for 2022. And that doesn't sound right? It sounds kind of crazy. But the IRS, your parents have already filed their taxes for 2020, right? And we're applying for financial aid in October of 2021. Normally in financial aid, we would only look at the last year back. But if we apply for financial aid in October, your parents haven't filed their 2021 taxes yet, right? So we can't. So we got to look at the year 2020 tax information. The IRS already has it. If you said proceed to the IRS, you click that button, it's going to automatically populate your application with all the information that's needed. Okay, and you won't have to put it down. If you're a DACA student and you're filling out a paper application because your parents won't have the ability to sign this electronic application, you'll have to actually populate all of those questions that are asked when it comes to financial aid and all of those things. Okay, so I'm going to escape out of there and stop my share for a minute and just double check it. And then there's one other thing I want to share, and then I'm through. Okay, we need to shorten this process and as we go forward in other years, because it's a FAFSA night, but we discuss everything under the sun on this night, and so I can't possibly give it all to you in this one setting in one sitting. But again, we're going to be doing other videos and sharing other things with you in the future on our websites and other places like that. So the other thing is there's several pathways to completing college. Can you guys see this presentation? Again, I just want to make sure you can see it.
Yes.
Several pathways, and a lot of our speakers have already talked about it. Early college, while you're in school, the representative from South Suburban told you, you can take college courses while you're in school. You get a certain grade on a certain course that you take that's free as a senior. You can take another course this summer. So you can end up with 6 college credits, by the time you actually enroll into your institution of choice. Or you can go ahead and just stay at South Suburban and reduce the cost. If the cost of attending South Suburban is $8,000 per year for 24 credit hours, or if you take 15 credit hours, which is what I recommend per semester, you'll end up with 30 credit hours after the first year, right? That's a whole year of education. But at the U of I, those same courses that you would take at South Suburban will cost you close to $40,000 per year. So you figure out the savings, 8,000 versus 40,000. You see what's happening. You can also CLEP out of courses. There's a test you can take later on to see if you can skip the course and get the credit, right? And so there are highly selective and selective institutions that you can attend. You can save money there. Where you decide to attend, a lot of these institutions have free tuition. You have to look them up. You had a military person on the line. If you don't go straight military, think about going into one of these academies, because they pay full tuition, full room and board. All of that is taken care of through various sources, and these are some other sources: Montgomery GI Bill, GoFundMe accounts, Indiegogo. Your employers, your parents' employers sometimes have employee reimbursement programs that they use to help families. And basically, that is it. That is my presentation. Again, if you want more information, go to familycentered.org or go to our Facebook page, like it, the Family Centered Educational Agency, or call us at 708-210-1771. Don't ask for me. Ask for all the staff members to help you. I have a whole staff team of about 20 individuals who can help you with these applications. Some of them are housed at the schools with Ms. King and others, and they can assist you while you are there. So that's it. Any questions?
So I am surprised that we don't have any questions. We do have a comment to you. Thank you, Dr. McKenzie, for the College Scorecard website. The graduation rate for a lot of schools on my son's list is quite interesting.
Yes.
Whereas we may have to rethink a few of them.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. Information is power. And so you want to be armed with the right information, and you want to make sure that school can support your child. You're making a business decision. This is a billion-dollar industry. Higher education is a billion-dollar industry. And there's some institutions that do a better job of serving our children than others. And that college scorecard can help you identify which ones are doing a better job.
We do have a request for your contact information to be shared again. Do you have that slide?
I
available
can,
or
I
not?
can pull it back up and share it with you one more time here. Yep. www.familycentered.org. Again, you can go to our Facebook page. We have Instagram, Snapchat, and all that other stuff. It's all under the name of Family Centered Educational Agency. Or if one of my staff members is online, you can put FCEA, FCEA. You may see it under that on some of those pages, but you can definitely reach us by calling. There's a representative who can work with you. And when you go to our website, you can simultaneously complete an application by going to our website as well for one of our talent search programs, and a representative will reach out to you and start the conversation about how to help you and how to work with you. Okay.
I'd like to respond to the request with regard to, are you able to watch the presentation again? This is a recorded presentation, and we will make the recording available to our seniors and their parents.
Awesome.
Are there any other questions? Place them in the chat or the Q&A quickly, please.
While we're waiting for questions, thank you, Dr. McKenzie.
You're welcome.
You have come through as always and given us so much information and so many valuable tips along in this process. And I just hope and pray that the attendees have taken real good notes, or that you will watch this presentation again, because he has given some $1 million tips.
Yeah, share it with the other students who weren't on. I mean, I see that there are a number of you who are on, but share it with all of your other colleagues who were not on, because they need to know. And we don't want to see them show up in the office and crying and asking for Kleenex and tissues because they don't have the money that they need. And later on, it is quite a process, and get help with it. All right.
Absolutely. Well, I have a couple of things that the other presenters just wanted me to say. They had to leave, but they wanted to leave. They forgot to mention a couple of things. Sergeant Cesaro told me to say that since the National Guard covers tuition, students will keep whatever FAFSA awards them. So that's a plus with the National Guard. And then Ms. Gutierrez, Christina, said that if we have any undocumented students, DACA students that need help, she is the undocumented consultant at South Suburban College. And she will help you directly with your undocumented questions and your undocumented filling out the FAFSA. She is available to help with completing the FAFSA if you are a DACA or undocumented student.
That's great information, especially about the National Guard. You know, because they're only paying you. You're going to need the money that you get from Pell, because they're only paying tuition. They're not paying room and board, and room and board costs a lot more than just your tuition to attend the institution. So you need the Pell Grant. You're going to need some other grants and some other things. But one thing that you might want to consider if you're thinking about the National Guard is joining the ROTC program while you're in the National Guard and while you're attending the institution of your choice. By doing that, you will become a acting officer in the National Guard, and you'll receive a higher rate of pay. So on a monthly basis, you'll also be an acting officer, so you'll get a chance to, go to the best places and eat with the big shots. And then when you graduate, you'll graduate as a real officer in the United States military, and you'll have to. I've heard somebody say, "What's the con?" The con is you'll have to serve in the military for at least 2 or 3 years, maybe more. But that's a guaranteed job for 2 or 3 years, after completing your education. And so I was in the military. I was in the United States Army Reserves, and I was in a college ROTC, and I took advantage of as much of it as I could. And I've got some great benefits now as a result of it. And so it's something to consider, but you are government property.
Some people may consider it a con, but I actually, have visited the military facilities, and I think that they are wonderful places to give you discipline and order and purpose with your life. Sometimes I see a lot of the people that have joined the military. They come back and they say, you know what, my life wasn't going anywhere before I started the military, and it
Yeah,
gave me a great purpose. So that
it
might
does.
be, yeah,
Yeah,
that might be
it does. I mean, you become very disciplined. I mean, you become disciplined. You become brave. It's all kinds of things, all kinds of pros,
right.
but it's tough. It's not a cakewalk, you know. So
Yeah, they say they break you down to build you up. So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, well, we want to thank all of our presenters this evening. Christina Gutierrez from South Suburban College, Sergeant Chazaro from the National Guard, and of course, Dr. Jonathan McKenzie from the Family Centered Educational Agency. And we want to thank all of our attendees for attending this presentation and getting this important and useful information. Now, if any of you are night owls, the FAFSA, the 2022-2023 FAFSA opens at 12:01 a.m. So this, in just a few short hours, you can get that FAFSA done with your senior and the parent. And remember, you are utilizing 2020 tax information. 2020 tax information to complete the 2022-2023 FAFSA. And you are going to fafsa.ed.gov. I'll place that in the chat for you.
And also, if you, I know Dr. McKenzie said you need some professional help, and you do. So if you do decide to do it, you always can go back in and make changes on your FAFSA. And so you can go back in with your help to make changes. But it's
Absolutely.
important for you to get it done as soon as possible. But
Yeah.
yes, it is available in a few short hours.
Yeah, I was
So
gonna say, Ms. King, if they could just let someone else look at it after they get it done, share that information with you or Miss Bishop or anybody else who's in the counseling centers. Let them look at your FAFSA results or any of the talent search staff members, because they can see certain things and they can advise you. If you're going to be selected for a process of verification, sometimes the FAFSA won't tell you that right away. And even though you've completed on October 1, if you're selected for verification, you may be not at the front of the line, but at the back of the line. So if that professional can look at your application, decipher whether or not you're going to be selected for verification, they can then advise you and save you a lot of time on what you should do next before, instead of just waiting on the financial aid office at your institution to call you and say, I need this or I need that. Okay, so let someone else see it. All right. That's all. I'm gone.
And just so that you are aware, we have the ISAC core representative in all of our three buildings. We've shared his picture, Mr. Gregory Curry. He will also be available to provide assistance to our seniors and their parents in filling out the FAFSA. So there's going to be more to come in terms of virtual events, in-person events, where you can actually fill out that FAFSA with someone side by side to help you. So don't stress. We're all here to help you. We have plenty of partners who will help us get this done with our seniors. And again, this is an Illinois graduation requirement for all public seniors in our state. Ms. King, did you have anything further before we close?
I just want to thank everyone for coming, for attending, for viewing this, even if it's after the actual live event. We think it's so important that you view this information and that you have this information. So I want to thank you for taking the time to view it and to be here.
Okay, well, thank you everyone for coming out. And we will get that recording to you as soon as it is available. And we will probably share that a number of ways. So we'll get it to the seniors. We'll probably have it uploaded to our YouTube page for District 205 as well. So that will be forthcoming. Have a great evening.